Hey guys, it's Adam from LUCIDPIXUL, and I want to ask you a question today. How are you doing? How are you feeling? How does your mind feel? How does your body feel right now? Are you feeling awesome and healthy and energetic and optimistic? Or are you feeling sore, down, exhausted, overwhelmed? The reason I'm asking you this question is because lately I've been talking a lot about court trials and artificial intelligence and art theft and filtering through a lot of the bullshit that a lot of us artists have to navigate emotionally and professionally. And I have received, at the receiving end of my videos and my commentaries and my art talks, a whole mix of different thoughts and opinions, mostly positive, mostly optimistic, mostly forward-thinking. But for a lot of us, it's been overwhelming, it's been exhausting, it's been discouraging, it's been, what you'd expect from listening to a bunch of lawyers talk legalese and listening to artists whine and complain that the end is nigh and the sky is indeed falling. I get messages from people that thank me for the videos, that it offers them some comfort and a sense of optimism. And I get some emails from people that are legitimately discouraged. They're legitimately down about what's going on. And I'm not just talking about AI. I'm talking about life in general, pre and post AI. That they're down. They're demotivated. They're frustrated. They're exhausted. They're lost. They're overwhelmed. What I want to talk about today is I want today's art talk to be renewing. I want it to be empowering. I want it to be resetting. And I want to shed a little bit of perspective on life in general, because what we're going through with AI right now might be a big deal, and it might be difficult, more difficult for some people than others. But we need to distance ourselves from things like this. We need to understand that hardships and instability and uncertainty and sadness and pain and upset and unfairness are all normal. They're normal. And it might suck, but life is supposed to suck once in a while, isn't it? We're not living in the Garden of Eden here. We live in a land of balance. We live in a land of good and bad and everything in between. Life is many, many different shades of personalities and experiences that can take an entire lifetime, can take 50 lifetimes to make sense of. And at 47 years old, approaching 50, I know more things. I am wiser. I've learned what to sweat and what not to sweat when it comes to hardships. I've learned what's normal and common and what's not so normal and not so common. I know I'm more aware of when to hit the panic button or hit the big red emergency button, and when to wait it out and when to let it slide. And that's why I'm making this video. I know from the responses that I hear and from the general analytics on my videos that the majority of the people who listen to my videos are between the ages of 18 and 35. That's the big, actually 18 to 30 is the big demographic by a large margin. And I can very easily remember what that period was like in my life. It was a period in my life before I had a sense of professional stability. before I had a sense of financial stability, before I had relationship stability and familial stability, and physical stability of myself. There were a lot of things that I took for granted, and there were some things I didn't. And I've learned over the years, while my cat Gimli comes and stands on the table with me, you want to come in, I'm trying to make space for him right now while I talk. There were periods in my life where I was literally at a brick. I was literally in a dead end, where I felt I hit rock bottom, and there wasn't a single thing in my life that was working for me. My relationship had fallen apart. I felt like my family issues were really overwhelming me. Politically, things were completely upside down. Politics was not aligning with my personal values whatsoever. Financially, I was completely broke. Professionally, I was unemployed and collecting unemployment checks, or my unemployment check was running out. And I was trying my best to keep my head above water and remain productive when I was just under a ton of stress. I might have put my back out because I realized in the last couple of years that herniated discs was something I've been experiencing since my 20s. I didn't realize it until I did a little homework. It took me 2 decades to figure that stuff out because the body is a complicated thing. But I can look back at so many periods in my life where I was at my wit's end, when I was at the burning out point, when I had burnt out. And I didn't feel, especially at the time, that I had the means to overcome it. Fortunately, in my particular case, taking extreme, drastic measures was never an option that I considered. I'm not going to say it in this video because I don't want to upset anybody or flag any any censorships or anything like that. But I think you know what I might be talking about. But I wasn't given much reason not to feel that way, to be completely honest with you, without getting into too much detail about it, because this does involve personal issues and stuff like that. But the reason I'm making this video right now is because I'm still here. I'm still here talking to you. I'm still here sharing my thoughts with you. I'm still here telling stories about my past and using them, hopefully, as a way of shining light on what you might be experiencing in your life right now. The life of a human being is a challenging one, and the life of an artist can have its own unique challenges as well. And because we tend to be hypersensitive people, it's kind of one of the things that makes an artist. We are hypersensitive. Then those challenges, not only to ourselves, but to ones we care about, can really get the better of us. But I'm still here. I'm 47 years old, approaching 50. And whatever age you're at right now, you're still here. And what I want you to know is, no matter how hard my life has gotten over the years, no matter what challenges I faced with physically, emotionally, medically, with my family, with my profession, anything, I have always overcome it eventually. In some particular cases, certain things were very easy to overcome. In other cases, they felt fucking impossible, and they felt completely endless. And to serve as a very good example of this, I am right now in my life dealing with the worst physical hardship of my life. Well, more specifically, I'm overcoming the hardest physical experience I've ever had in my life. Hasn't only been difficult, it has been everlasting. And of course, I'm talking about all these issues I dealt with my back and with herniations and with chronic pain and with the inability to live my life in a normal way, because that's what chronic pain does to you. But at this particular point, I have had good days, I have had bad days, I have recovered, and then I've relapsed, and all of these different things. What I'm experiencing now, and what hopefully I'm at the tail end of, because I am recovering, and I do want to share those experiences with you, is the impacts of long-term hardship, the impacts of long-term pain. Because in the past, if I'd herniate my disc, which again, I didn't know at the time, it would last a couple of weeks, a couple of months, maybe I'd have a little bit of sciatica for a little bit, but then eventually it went away. But this time around, it didn't. This time around, I'm now sitting on around 18, 19 months of constant pain. Am I saying this to whine and complain? No. Not even remotely. I'm saying this to let you know that I'm not sharing this experience thinking about something that happened way off in the past, taking it for granted on how hard it was. I'm telling you that I'm going through it right now. I'm at the heart of this issue right now. The pain is real. I'm feeling it as I speak. And it has really caused me a lot of stress. It's impacted my sleep, where especially when I'm lying down now, the worst pain that I experience is when I'm lying down. During the day and when I'm active, it's actually a little bit better. It sometimes really, when I was at my most vulnerable and weakest, it really impacted my mood. Where, you try having somebody digging a knife into your ass for a year and a half and just digging it in and you can't move, and when you try to move it just digs in further. It's just this unrelenting pain that just reminds you ain't going anywhere. And I lived with this and I tried to find ways to exercise and stretch and to stabilize, and I must have spent thousands of dollars on physiotherapists and osteopaths and went to see doctors, all of which did nothing but make it worse. And that adds insult to injury. Of all the experiences I've had in my life, the most challenging experiences that I had in my life, it wasn't the initial injury that really overwhelmed me the most, that really was a tipping point for me. It was terrible, but that wasn't the tipping point. The tipping point happens when the only people you feel you can reach out to for help, professionals, be it lawyers or institutions or doctors or physiotherapists or osteopaths or family members or whoever, particularly professionals, people who are qualified, who are trained to be able to help you in ways that most people don't have the training to do. When they let you down, or even worse off, make it worse for you, when they are anti-help, when they get in the way of your progress, rather than, there's one thing about not helping, it's another thing about actually being an active obstacle to that person's health. That's when the overwhelm kicks in. And I shared thoughts in the past and other art talks in the past where I had literal anxiety attacks, which is not something I experience very often. I'm not generally somebody who feels anxiety. I had literal anxiety attacks, thinking about addressing my issues with my newly appointed doctor, because she just denied me getting help. She just said no to the help I felt I needed, and I still feel I needed that help from her. I was stuck with this doctor who was actively blocking my ability to get the help that I needed. She wasn't allowing me to get the blood tests I needed. She wasn't allowing me to get the proper MRIs that I needed. Or anything else, any kind of examination. She just kept saying no. And when I'd ask her why, she said, I don't think it's necessary. And when I'd say, why don't you think it's necessary? I'm going through pain right now, and I'm feeling like my thyroid is low because I have hypothyroidism. No, I don't think it's necessary. Well, you can take a test maybe in about 6 months. And it was And I would walk away from there feeling gaslit. I would walk away feeling like she'd manipulated me from being able to express myself the way I wanted to and really tell her what the issues were. I walked away feeling hopeless. And I got extremely emotional about that. I cried about that. I got overwhelmed by that. And I shared subsequent conversations that I had with her where it helped me to overcome that anxiety, which you can check out. It's one of my more recent art talks. But that's usually when people feel they're at their wits' end, when they reach out to somebody, to an institution, to an organization, to a professional for help, and that help does not come. That help works against you, and this happens in so many different ways. And I've experienced this in so many different facets of my life, different challenges that I felt where I really felt like things were dire, where I thought for myself or for people that I cared for, where the situation was extremely dire, and the people that I trusted and hoped would be able to bring the help that I needed to me or to my loved ones ended up becoming the problem. And in every one of those situations, that tipping point, I realize now, was the most important lesson to life. And that lesson is, do it your fucking self. If there's a problem, fix it yourself. You don't have the expertise, get it. Learn. Train. Study. You're going to be in pain, emotionally or physically, while you're doing it. But learn. Learn how to fix the problem. And it's through that self-education, self-help. It's by taking the trust out of people that are actively working against you. Not the ones that are, of course. If people are helping you, then let them help you. If people are making you feel better, then let them make you feel better. Don't stop that. But the people who aren't, and if they're what you feel is your only hope, then start taking matters into your own hands. Become the solution to your own problem. Educate yourself. I did this when it came to legal issues. I did this when it came to family issues. I did this when it came to health issues. I ended up, especially when the going was the worst, when I was really at my wit's end, I learned through experience to educate myself. I went to see doctors, particularly my doctor. I went to see physiotherapists, numerous different physiotherapists. I saw osteopaths. I walked away in triple the pain that I walked in. I listened to them though. I put faith in their expertise, and I thought, no pain, no gain. Maybe that's the situation. Maybe you're just maybe you know that I have to tough this out. And I took the advice and I tried, and it got worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. I went to the doctor. I asked for tests. She never let me get. And then I decided to learn on my own. And I'll tell you something. Ladies and gentlemen, I know more about the fucking human body now than I ever have in my entire life. Not only that, but I've learned through experience, through testing, through being able to listen to my body and my pain, to be able to learn about the structure of my body, to be able to understand what has led to me re-injuring myself time and time again, at least 2 or 3 dozen times over the course of the last 20, 25 years. I figured out what the problem was. I learned a lot about the muscles and the structures and the relationships between bone and tendon and muscles, and how the endocrine system plays into this. And I realized I've been holding my body in a bad position for the last long as I know. Probably always. I've always probably been holding myself in a bad way. I know now where the original issue stemmed from, what the original core issue is, the catalyst that ended up leading to this whole chain of events that led to injury and re-injury and re-injury and re-injury over and over and over again, until a point where my body said, you know what, Adam? Unless you fucking learn the lesson, unless you learn properly, this pain's not going to go away. It hurts? Good. Then do something about it. I went to see a professional. The professional gave me textbook, generic shit advice. Every one of them did. There was only one physiotherapist out there that I felt actually made sense, and that was Dr. Charlie Johnson, who I fell in love with for his work. And I ended up doing a podcast with him on my channel because his approach was listen to your body, heal through movement. And that was the first step towards my healing. And it brought me to a place of mobility that I didn't think I was going to get back. But it didn't go away entirely and ended up kind of re-injuring myself. So I knew that he was giving me the right path, but I needed to do the rest of the work on my own. I needed to figure myself out. And through the pain, through the sleepless nights, I studied, I learned, I paid very close attention. I tried certain things. I learned to be gentle with myself in certain ways. I learned where I needed to push myself more. And slowly but surely, I started to develop muscles and gain flexibility and gain strength and gain stability in places I never even knew existed. I went from a place where I couldn't even walk across the street to the mailbox without having to stop and take a good 10-15 second break just to kind of take deep breaths and allow the pain to subside. Forget the idea of walking to the corner store. Forget the idea of getting on a bike. Forget the idea of doing cardio. Forget the idea of standing for longer than 10 seconds. I spent a year and a half barely being able to do anything like that. Forget about the idea of lifting a water bottle. Forget about the idea of moving furniture around. Forget about the idea of bending over. Forget about the idea of changing my cat's kitty litter. I had to ask my family to change the kitty litter for the cats because bending over like that was just, I knew it was going to end up causing a problem, and I didn't know why until I figured it the fuck out myself. And I stand before you today because I've been standing behind this microphone the whole time, not sitting. Where I've been biking everywhere, and I'm walking everywhere now. I go for miles and miles of walks. I pretty much healed the herniation, but more importantly, I've learned how to prevent it from happening again. Let me tell you something, a little hint. My ass is the best, strongest, most muscular ass you've ever seen in your life now. Because I know now having strong glutes is the foundation for everything, along with other things. But if you have problems with your back, I want you to work out your ass every single day. Every single day. I recommend checking out the glute exercises by Dr. Christy Ennis, who's a YouTuber. She's got lots of great videos on that kind of stuff. She knows proper form. She knows how to train yourself. I recommend El Paso Manual Physical Therapy, who taught me probably the most important key to preventing re-injury and properly healing. And he talks about stabilizing your lower back with your glutes and your lower abs. If you have any issues with lower back issues, that's the first place you're going to go. And his video, I believe, is You Will Never Heal Unless You Do This First. I believe that's the title of his video. And I watched that, and that was the key. That was the key that unlocked every single single other thing that led to my healing. I have anatomical models sitting next to me. I know about the spine and discs. I know about the tendons and ligaments and the muscles that stabilize the pelvis and the ilium and the sacrum. On top of the fact that I teach anatomy and I'm a huge passionate fan of anatomy in my art school. I know it far more now, far beyond artistic necessity. I love how my body has taught me through pain, through Mother Nature's best learning incentive, pain, that it was time to learn. It was time to grow. It was time to evolve. And the same thing applied to my mental health. The same thing applied to recurring issues with my family, toxicities within my family dynamic that just kept picking at scabs over and over and over again that prevented growth. I did so responsibly. I did so without hurting anybody. I did so by learning to listen to what causes pain, what causes weakness, and what causes growth, and what causes progress, and what causes empowerment. And it takes the pain away. You have to learn. Are you dealing with psychological issues? Yes. Talk to professionals. Talk to professionals. But also, do your fucking homework. YouTube, man, is a treasure trove of advice. But when you're looking it up, don't just take advice from anybody, because there's people out there that don't know their ass from their elbow. No. You listen to advice and you filter it through your brain and you go, does that make sense to me? Try it. Try it once. If it causes any pain, stop. Healing does not usually require pain. At least it shouldn't cause pain. Okay? Pay attention to what your mind and your body are telling you. Has all this talk about artificial intelligence that I've been talking about on my channel been overwhelming you? Has it been upsetting you? Has it been frustrating you? Well, that's not my intention, of course. My intention is to educate and empower. Well, it's to do exactly what I'm talking about. It's to put you in the driver's seat, so you're not sitting around as this innocent victim, this being rear-ended by some drunk driver type of situation. It's about putting you in the driver's seat and saying, these are the players, this is the situation, now you have a better idea on what you can do. Are you feeling overwhelmed by all this talk about AI? Does it feel like it's all bad and it's just taking your life away from you? Well, my videos, my art talks have been intended to take that pain away. But today's video, this video, is telling you to let it go. Give it a break. I'm personally a little bit sick and tired of talking about artificial intelligence. I'm sick and tired of navigating everybody's, up and down response to it. I'm just a messenger, and I am taking my messenger hat off. I'm putting on my civilian clothes today, and I'm just talking to you like a human being. I'm not here to be at the receiving end of any positive or negative talk about AI. I don't give a fuck what you think about it or how well you know about it or anything. It doesn't matter today. Today is about you taking a deep breath, relaxing, and start to look towards healing energies, healing habits. I want you to start freeing up your mind so that you can draw, so you can create, so you can feel happy. And if you're feeling overwhelmed and weak and tired and sore, then give yourself a break. Focus on educating yourself, learning about yourself. Does it hurt in your left ear? Study left ears. Does it hurt in your right elbow? Study right elbows. Does it hurt in your hypothalamus? Do you have hypothyroidism that isn't producing enough TSH? Well, learn about your fucking thyroid. Do you know how many people I've known that have hypothyroidism? When you ask them, do you know what your thyroid results are? They go, I don't know, whatever. I just take whatever the doctor tells me. And I'm sitting there going, how do you feel? Well, kind of tired and moody all the time, and I'm gaining weight. So you're probably not getting the right amount of thyroid hormone. Learn about your fucking self. Learn about your medical self. You're not sleeping properly? Why? Is it pain? Is it hormonal? Is your sleep schedule inconsistent? Is your circadian rhythm completely fucked up? Do something about it. Don't just sit there and spend the next 50 years being a victim, because I swear to God, it's amazing how many people spend their entire lives just suffering. And if I never addressed on my own and figured out anything that was going on in my life, breaking negative patterns with relationships or with loved ones in my family, or dealing with physical pains that were chronic and weren't going away, like I am right now, or dealing with medical issues like my thyroid. Well, here's another update for you. Because my doctor's on mat leave right now, I had an opportunity to speak to an alternative doctor, just somebody else who was filling in for her. And I said, I need to get my thyroid tested again because I'm feeling really low. And he said to me, well, you got yourself tested already recently and you seemed fine. And I said, it was on the border of fine. And I said, that test, whether it's 0.1 or 0.2, it's still sitting on that edge. And I feel low thyroid. And he said, well, I'll give you a test, but get the test in a couple of months, get it in 6 months from now. And I said, well, I feel like I need it now. Well, whatever, I'll give you the test. I had to push him to do it because my doctor wouldn't do it. And I took the test the next day. And you know what? Surprise, surprise, surprise. My thyroid's low. My TSH, my thyroid stimulating hormone, was high. So my body was telling me the truth. And I listened to it. I fucking listened to it. And you know what I did? I went back to my doctor and I said, look, you know that test you wanted me to take in 6 months? I decided to take it the next day. And look. And he goes, okay, yeah, we'll give you an updated prescription. Thank you, I appreciate that, with a sarcastic smile on my face. Because you know what he would have done? He would have made me suffer for the next 6 months. Not to mention the fact that your thyroid slows down the healing process in your body. So my ability to heal my back, and now that my back is healed, now I know that the pain, by the pain pattern, by what I've studied and what I've learned, has now been localized into my sacroiliac joint, your SI joint. If you're not sure what it is, look it up. And now that I know it's specifically my SI joint, which is probably the catalyst in the first place. I did dance salsa and jive and swing for years. That probably loosened and weakened all the ligaments in my back, which is why I started injuring myself in the first place. I've been probably dealing with an offset ilium that has put too much strain on certain muscles in my back, which ended up leading to a herniation on that side of my body. And I addressed all of that by strengthening my glutes. And now that I've strengthened my glutes, now the pain is isolated and regulated in my SI joint. And now that it's in my SI joint, I went back to the doctor and I said, my original doctor refused to allow me to get an MRI that also included my SI joint. But I know it's my SI joint. He said, I'll give you an x-ray. I said, an x-ray is only going to let me know if I have a bone issue. I'm catching him off guard with my knowledge. He's going, yeah, we'll do that first. I said, but so you're going to expose me to extra radiation when I know that I probably need another MRI, something that could have been solved the first time I went into the MRI. We'll do the x-ray. So I got an x-ray. The x-ray says, the x-ray shows you're normal. I said, good, can I get a fucking MRI now? Because I'm still in pain. So he gave me an MRI. And I'm going to get an MRI. And the MRI might show that maybe there's something wrong with the ligaments around my pelvis. It might show a discrepancy between my left and my right ilium. But I'm getting the fucking help that I need, and he can't argue with me because I'm making more sense than he is, because he expects me to be some stupid, passive patient who's just going to take what he's given and live with years and years of chronic pain. And when I went to that clinic, I fucking walked there. And I walked back. And I've been taking my bicycle all over the place. And yeah, there's a bit of pain, but it's 1/70th of what I've been living with for the last year and a half. I am healing. When all hope was lost, I am healing now because I took matters into my own hands and I learned to fucking listen to myself. And I'm telling you to do the same thing. If my videos on AI are stressing you out, turn my goddamn video off. Stop it. Go listen to something else. Go watch Ice Cream Sandwich. Go watch Daily Dose of Internet. Go watch, something that's non-political, non-dramatic, something that just puts a smile on your face and makes you laugh. Watch a funny movie. Take matters into your own hands. Don't be a victim. You're not a victim. You're a student in waiting. You have the opportunity to master anything you want. And when you do, your life changes for you. You heal, you improve, you become stronger. And once you become stronger, once you become wiser, just like I'm doing right now, you can pay it forward by helping others. This is why people who've been through some of the hardest hardships in life also make some of the best social workers and physiotherapists and doctors and healers out there. Because they know how. Because they've been through it. Because they can empathize. And they know the tools and the steps necessary for overcoming it. And that's exactly what I'm asking you to do today. All right? With that said, I truly do love you with all my heart. I want you to get better. I want you to be happy. And once all of that's said and done, when your head is clear and your body feels better, draw and create. All right? Take care.